So in the last session, we have discussed about the fields and what exactly a field represents, and then how many types of fields are available in Salesforce, and what exactly a standard field and what exactly a custom field, and how many fields that we can create inside an object. What are the limit has been given by Salesforce, and how can we view the fields available inside an object we have discussed. That means field means column, but already we are aware of that. Now, for example, assume that I want to create a field inside an object. For example, I'm having an object. That means I'm having a table. But you are aware of that object means table, field means column inside the table. Okay. Object in the sense table, field in the sense column inside the table. Okay. You know the terminology. So in our general real world, in our general terminology, we are calling it as table and then column. But when you go to the CRM terminology, the same table is called as object and the column is called as a field. Assume that I'm having an object. That means I'm having a table. So this is my object over here. Assume that I would like to store the customer's data. So for that one, I'm creating a customer table. It is my customer table. So whenever I'm creating a customer table, by default, Salesforce is giving some columns. So by default, Salesforce is giving a column. So what columns has been given by Salesforce? Salesforce is providing 5 columns to you. First one is ID column to store the record ID. Second one is the name column. Third one is the owner column. That means who is the owner of the record. Fourth one is created by. And the fifth one is last modified by. So these are the 5 columns has been given by Salesforce by default whenever I'm creating an object inside this. So whenever I'm creating this object, you're having these 5 columns automatically by default. So Salesforce has given that ID column, name column, owner column, and the created by, and the last modified by. So last modified by. So these are the 5 columns will be given by Salesforce by default upon creating a new object in Salesforce. So now tell me, will these columns will be sufficient to store your customers' data? No. Not only these 5 columns, I want some more columns to store my customer data. Like regarding my customer, I want to store my customer age. I want to store my customer's contact number and his email ID, his address. I would like to store so many data as well related to my customer. So at that time, whatever the 5 columns has been given by Salesforce, so these 5 columns may not be sufficient. I want some more columns to be added to my object over here. Then how can we add your own columns? For example, here, I would like to store the customer's age. I would like to specifically store the customer's age. So now age will be what here? Numerical column. Okay, age should be always a numerical column here. So now I want to make this column should be always a numerical column. That means a number type. And then along with that I would like to store some more data. Like I would like to store the gender of that customer here. So to store the gender, I would like to store have another column. To store the customer's contact number, I would like to have in another column. To store the customer email ID, I would like to have another column. To store the address of the customer, I would like to have in another column. Like that here we can able to create our own columns also. So I'm creating our own columns inside this. Now I would like to store this information. So I would like to store the gender column, gender, and the phone number of the customer, and the email ID of the customer, and the address of the customer. Like that here. So in this case, whenever we are going to be adding a column inside the table, upon creating the column, we have to specify what type of data the column can hold. Okay, what type of data the column can hold. We need to indicate that. Suppose here if I am not indicating anything, suppose as part of this age column, upon creating a new record inside my table, for the age I am giving the value as some 1000. Will it be a correct information? No. Why? Because age is a numerical. I'm giving that value in 1000. 1000 is also numerical. Then what is wrong in this one? But in this case, I would like to have some limitation. Even though, of course, you are entering some numerical value, but I would like to have some limit. So as part of my business requirement, I would like to allow the age value should be 1 to some 70. This is my requirement. And then when coming to the gender here, gender should be only one character. That too, the gender value should be either M or F. Only one character I would like to allow. Apart from that, it should not accept the remaining values. And then when coming to the phone number should be always a 10-digit phone number I would like to allow. Email ID should be always in an email ID format. Okay, email ID should be always in an email ID format. And address should have some collection of characters over here, which will be having some special characters, numericals and everything. Like that here, depends upon my requirement, I would like to accept the different types of data inside this. Okay, different types of data inside this. In this case, whenever we are going to be creating the field, in order to indicate what type of data the column can hold, we have to use a feature called as data type. Okay, data type. Those are also called as field types in Salesforce. Those are also called as field types. So what do you mean by data type? Data type represents what type of data the column can hold. Okay, inside that column, what type of data that we can enter that will be indicated by the data type. So now here in this case here, when coming to the Salesforce has given so many data types or the field types which needs to be get selected upon creating the column. That means upon creating a new column, we have to indicate what type of data the column can hold. So this is a mandatory thing. Not only in the Salesforce, in everywhere, wherever you go in any database also, upon creating a column inside any of the table, we have to specify what type of data the column can store inside that. Suppose if I am not giving any data type, okay, then the column will not be acceptable. Column will not be acceptable. Why? Because the people may give some wrong information also, which will be causing some ambiguity in future, which will be causing some confusions in the future. So we can't identify whether that is a wrong information or whether it is a correct information. So always we have to indicate what type of data the column can hold. So that upon creating a new column inside the table or upon creating a new field inside the object, we have to specify the data type as well. Then what data types are available in Salesforce? Now let's see practically over here. Now, let me give that one part. Data type allows us to specify the type of the data to be get accepted inside the column. Okay, that means what type of data should be acceptable inside that field, that will be decided by the data type over here. Now, in this case, when coming to the Salesforce, we are having so many data types are available here. So upon creating a new field inside the object, we need to select the data. Now, in this case, Salesforce provides a set of data types by default. Salesforce has given a set of data types by default over here. Now, so first to list out what data types are available in Salesforce, we'll see one by one. The first one is the text data type. Second one, text area. Third one, text area long. Fourth one, text area rich. Fifth one, number. And the sixth one, checkbox. Seventh one, email. Eighth one, phone. Ninth one, person. And the 10th one, URL. 11th one, date. 12, time. 13, data. 14, currency. 15, pick list. 16, pick list multi-select. 17, we are having geolocation. 18, auto number. 19, the text encrypted. Text encrypted. So these are the various data types are available when coming to a Salesforce instance. Okay, now. So now here in this case, when coming to the Salesforce, Salesforce has given the various data types to you. Almost 19 types of data types are available over here. So which we can able to select. That means upon creating a new column from this data types, any one of the data type we have to select. Not multiple, only one data type here. Based on your application requirement, we have to select any one of the data type. Then in this case, if I'm selecting this data type, then what will happen? Let me show you practically over here. For example, resume that. So I'm having a customer object over here. So this is the customer object. So this is a customer object. So now whenever I'm creating a customer object or whenever I'm creating any object, what will happen? Salesforce is providing a table for you. Salesforce will be providing a graphical user interface also for you. Salesforce will provide the business logic also automatically. That already you are aware of that. So whenever I'm creating a new table or whenever you are creating a new object in Salesforce, Salesforce will be providing all the three layers of your application. Like as it provides the table, it provides the business logic, it provides the user interface. Okay, user interface. So in this case, whenever I'm creating an object by using some navigation, by using some mouse pointers, Salesforce is going to be preparing the user interface also by default. Because Salesforce will provide the user interface also. So it will provide a user interface also over here. In this user interface, it is providing the name column by default. Okay, now it is providing the name column. Let us some customer name, which will be providing one text box automatically by default to enter the customer name over here. Okay, and along with that, it is providing the two buttons to you. One is save button. Second one is the cancel button. Two buttons will be giving the Salesforce by default over here. So these are the two buttons will be giving by Salesforce by default. So that save and then cancel. Two buttons will be given by Salesforce. For example, whenever if I am creating a new column inside my table, assume that I am creating a new column over here. I am creating a new column with the name some age. Okay, with the name some age. Whenever I am creating a new column with the name some age. So in this case, I am selecting the data type as number. Okay, I am selecting the data type as number. So whenever I'm adding a new column inside this particular table, automatically Salesforce is going to be providing a column text box inside this particular user interface also. It will be providing a text box also automatically inside the user interface to enter that value for that age over here. It will provide automatically over here. That means here, no need to design the user interface manually by your own. That will be taken care by Salesforce itself. Okay. Suppose, for example, I am going to be adding one more column over here. Okay, I am adding one more column. Take as email ID column over here. I am adding one more column that is called as email ID. Email ID. I'm giving that column as email. So whenever I'm creating a new column with the name some email, automatically Salesforce is going to providing one text box to enter the email ID over here. Email ID. So it will provide a text box automatically by default over here. That means what? Whenever I'm going to be adding some column inside the table, automatically Salesforce will build the table, it will build that user interface, and it is going to build in that the business logic also automatically by default. That means whatever the operations I am performing on the table level, the same operations are reflecting on this particular user interface also. The flexibility is available to you. So that here, that's what I told you when coming to the initial concept itself, Salesforce is purely supporting ORM technology, object relationship and the mapping technology, because of which all the three layers of your application will be getting building in one shot. So that whenever I'm going to be creating a column, automatically Salesforce is going to providing the user interface also. Now you can raise the question, sir. For example, after some time, after 2 months, my client asks me, he don't want the email ID field here. So then what we can do? Can I remove this column? Yes. So now whenever I'm going to be removing this column, email ID column, okay, whenever I'm removing this column from this particular object, automatically Salesforce will remove this field from the user interface also. It will remove automatically here. That means what? Whatever the operations you are performing on the object level, the same operations will be getting reflecting on your user interface also, and the business logic also by default. So in this case here, in order to provide that customer's data, okay, in order to store your application specific data, we can able to add our own columns also. Suppose after a few minutes, if I am going to be restoring this object again here, then automatically the column will come back. Nothing but text box will be getting added inside my user interface. So this is the internal functionality of Salesforce because of that ORM technology. So whenever I'm adding a column, automatically user interface will be getting prepared by Salesforce. Whenever I'm doing any changes over here, automatically those changes will be reflecting on the user interface also by default. So for that reason here, Salesforce has given the data types in terms of text type, text area long, number, checkbox like that. Here they have given the data types like this. Now let's see each and every data type, and then what type of value will be getting acceptable, and then what are the limitations and what properties are available for each and every data type. Now, the first one, text data type here. Here I am giving a note point here. Upon adding a field into the object, then Salesforce will prepare the respective user interface automatically and will provide the corresponding business logic also. By default. So whenever I'm going to be creating an object field inside the object, so then automatically Salesforce will provide the respective visual appearance on the user interface, and along with that, it is going to be providing the corresponding business logic also by default over there. So now here in this case, whenever I'm going to be creating the fields, okay, whenever I'm creating the fields, we have to select the data type. So what data types are available now? Let's see one by one. Each and every data type, their properties. Next, text data type. Upon creating the column, okay, upon creating the column, if you are selecting the data type as text, text data type will allow us to store the alphanumerical values. Alphanumerical values along with the special characters. Along with the special characters. That means what? Text data type will allow you to enter the alphanumerical values along with the special characters up to 255. Up to 255. So 255 characters of content will be getting acceptable inside the text field. Whenever I'm creating a text field, inside that column, Salesforce will allow you to enter maximum of 255 characters of content only in one line. Only in one line. Okay? Now, for example, come to a general scenario. Assume that here, okay, assume that I'm creating a column inside my table over here. Like I would like to store my customer's PAN number. Okay, I would like to store my customer's PAN number. So that here I'm creating a column over here. So I'm creating a column inside my object here with the name some PAN number. PAN number. So I'm giving that column name as PAN number over here. Now as soon as whenever I'm going to be creating a column, okay, PAN number, I'm selecting the data type as text. Okay, for example, I'm selecting the data type as text. At that time, it will provide a text box also over here. Like as PAN number, and then it provides one text box also automatically to enter the PAN number over here. So that means here in this text box, in how many rows we can enter the data? Normal text box will allow you to enter the data in only in one line. So here inside this column, how many characters of content we can enter? 255 characters of content, not more than that. Okay, not more than that. So now here in this case here, whenever I'm going to be creating the field, if I'm selecting the data type as text, then the text data type will allow you to enter the alphanumerical values along with the special characters also up to 255 characters inside a single line. So we can't enter the data in the multiple lines when coming to the text data type. Okay? When coming to the text data type, we can't enter the data in the multiple lines, only in one line we can enter the data over here. In this case, when coming to the text of data type, what kind of properties are available over here? What kind of properties? The first property is the field label. First property is field label. So what do you mean by field label? Field label is nothing but the label or the static text. That means whenever I'm creating a new column inside my table, it is providing one text box also automatically inside my user interface. In this user interface, along with the text box, what label has to be get visible? This is the label. What label you want to display, we can specify that label also by using the property called as field label. Now, the field label property is used to specify the label to be get visible in the user interface. Okay? To specify the label to be visible in the user interface. Okay? The label to be get visible in the user interface. Second one, field name or API name is the second property. That means what is the field name here you need to specify. Here we need to specify the column name. With which name you want me to create the column inside the table over here. Okay, with which name you want me to create the column inside the table. Suppose upon creating this column, if I'm giving the name as a PAN number, then how Salesforce will create that column over here? So what it will do, so what are the name that I have given, like as some PAN number, it will be adding underscore underscore C. That means what? Underscore underscore C means what? This is a custom column. The C means custom. So now this column we have added, we have created this column so that this is a custom column which has been created by the developer or the administrator to store the application specific data. So that whenever I'm giving a column name, like as PAN number, Salesforce is going to be adding that postfix in that name underscore underscore C in order to represent whether it is a standard or custom field. So that you have to specify this information, we are using the property called as field name. That means this is used to specify the column name inside the table. And the third property, description. So now why you are creating this column here? For what purpose we are creating the column? We can give some description about that column also. Okay, we can give some description also about here. To provide the comment or description of the field. In order to give some description or some comment of that field, we can use the property called a description property. The fourth one is the help text. Help text is for what? Help text is used to specify that the online help, like as a tooltip text information. Okay, tooltip text information here. So in order to provide the tooltip text information like this here, for example, when I press the mouse pointer on this one, it is providing some tooltip text to me, like as a zoom in, control plus a mouse wheel up. So whenever I'm pressing the mouse pointer over here, it is giving some online help, nothing but tooltip text like that. If you want to provide some tooltip text, then we can use this help text property to provide the tooltip text or online help of the field. This is the fourth property. Next, the fifth property is required. Okay, required checkbox. So what is the use of this required checkbox over here? So now whenever I'm creating a column inside my table, PAN number column, my client asks me, I want to make this field as mandatory over here. Okay, PAN number should be a mandatory column. Then how can we indicate that column as a mandatory column over here? Now let's see. So now here, what are the mandatory columns are available here? Now in the user interface level, it will be providing one red color bar symbol. Red color bar symbol is nothing but what? This is a mandatory column over here. Generally, for the other applications, if it is a mandatory field, you will be having a notation called as red color star symbol. If the red color star symbol is indicating this is a mandatory field. But in Salesforce, it is following a different notation. That field will be getting visible like this with a red color bar symbol, which is indicating this is a mandatory field over here. So compulsorily, the user has to enter the PAN number here. Without the PAN number, we can't accept the record. In this case, if you want to make this column as a mandatory column, then we have to use a checkbox called as required checkbox to make the field required. To make the field required. So in this case, when coming to the interview point of view, they will raise a question. It is a common question in every interview. How many ways are there in Salesforce to make a field required? To make that field mandatory, how many ways are available in Salesforce? So in Salesforce, we have 4 ways are available. 4 ways to make the field required. Required means mandatory. Then how many ways are available? We have 4 ways. Then what are those 4 ways are available? The first way is we can able to make the field required upon creating the field. We can select the required checkbox over here. Now by using required checkbox. So upon creating the field, we can select this required checkbox here. So whatever the checkbox property that we discussed right now, upon creating that field, we can select this required checkbox, then we can be able to make that field required over here. The second way is by using page layout customization. By using a feature called as page layout customization also, we can make a field required. This is the second feature. The third way is by using validation tools. By using validation tools, we can able to make a field required. The fourth one is by using triggers. Okay, by using the topics programming as part of development, we'll see through triggers how can we make a field required over here. So these are the 4 ways are available in Salesforce to make a field required. In order to, upon creating a field, upon creating a column, if you want to make that column as a mandatory, then we can able to use any one of these 4 ways. So now, as part of configuration, Salesforce has given those 3 ways over here. These 3 are comes under the configuration part. That means admin part. This comes under the development part over here. So now here, upon creating the field, we can select this required checkbox simply, then automatically it will make that column as mandatory over here. Now, next. So now here in this case, inside this PAN number here, upon creating a column PAN number, it is providing one text box over here. This text box will have how many characters over here? 255 characters. Now tell me generally, PAN number contains how many characters? 10 characters. PAN number is a 10 characters alphanumerical number. Okay, 10 characters alphanumerical number. Everybody's PAN number in India will be having 10 characters only, not more than that. Like the PAN number will be getting visible like this. The PAN number will be getting visible like this. Because the first 5 will be the characters, next 4 will be the digits, last one will be the character. So this is the PAN number format which is followed by the government of India. So for everybody's PAN number will be in the same format over here. Like everybody's PAN number will be in the same format. Okay. Now, so in this case here, how many characters will be there in the PAN number? Everybody's PAN number will be having maximum of 10 characters only, not more than that. But in this case, if the text box is allowing some more number of characters, at that time, the user may enter some wrong information also. Okay, the user may enter some wrong information also here. But in this case, what I want to do, I don't want to allow the user to enter the wrong information. I want to allow only 10 characters over here, not more than that. So when the user has entered 10 characters, then I would like to stop allowing the additional characters here. Okay, I want to stop over there. So in this case over here, for that one, we can decide the length. How many number of characters to be acceptable here? Okay, how many number of characters to be acceptable that we can decide. So for that one, Salesforce has given a property called as length property. Okay, Salesforce has given a property called as length property. Length property is used to indicate how many number of characters to be get allowed. Okay, how many number of characters to be get allowed that we can decide by using this length property. To specify the number of characters to be allowed inside the field. Suppose for example, I am giving that length as some 10. Okay, I am giving that some length as 10. For example, this is my text box over here. Okay, I am giving this text box. So in this text box, I am entering some characters. Now the first character I have entered, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 characters I have entered. Now the cursor is in this place over here. Okay, now the cursor is in this place. So now here in this case, once you have entered the 10 characters, from there onwards it won't allow you to enter some more characters. That means here, now the cursor will be available over here. Even though when you type some more characters inside your keyboard, the cursor will not move ahead. Cursor will be stopping over there. Because here, even though the text box will allow you to enter 255 characters, but I have given the limitation to enter up to 10 characters only. So for that reason over here, whenever I'm giving the length as 10, only the 10 characters will be getting allowed. When you try to enter the 11th character, the cursor will not move ahead. Cursor will be stopping over there because you have reached to the maximum number of characters inside your field. So it won't allow to enter some more characters inside that. Okay. Now here in this case here. Okay, now here in this case. So when coming to that text data type, it is going to be allowing you to enter up to the 10 characters here. Depends upon the limitation. Based on your requirement, we can specify how many number of characters to be get allowed. So I'm giving that length as 10, so it will be accepting only 10 characters over here. Suppose, for example, you can raise a question. Sir, I have given some space. Even though if I'm giving some space, space is also counting as one character. Because space is also counting as one character over here. Now, so for that reason, to restrict the number of characters to be get allowed, we are going to be using that length property. Okay. Next. The next property here. The next property is unique checkbox. Unique checkbox. So what do you mean by this unique checkbox? For example, whatever the PAN number column that you have specified, I want to make this PAN number column as a unique column. That means what? In this PAN number column, the same PAN number should not be repeated again. Okay, once a PAN number has been entered, then with the same PAN number we can't create one more record. So that I want to make this column value as unique. That means you should not accept the duplicate values. So for that reason here, Salesforce has given a checkbox called as unique checkbox. Unique checkbox is used to make the column value as unique. To make the column value unique. In order to make the column value as unique, we are going to be using the unique checkbox. Next, the last property in this one, that is external ID column. External ID column, nothing but this checkbox here. He is also one of the checkbox. Now this checkbox is used to make this column should be storing the external systems record ID. So now, whenever we are having some integration at that time, so any of the external systems record ID value I would like to store inside this column over here for the references, for the linking purpose. So for that time, if you want to store any of the external systems record ID, then we have to use this external ID checkbox here. To make the column to store the external systems record ID. So now these are the various properties are available as part of your text data type. So now text data type is used to store the alphanumerical values along with some special characters also. It is used to store the alphanumerical values along with some special characters as well over here. Now, the second one, text area. Text area data type. So what do you mean by text area data type? Suppose for example, assume that I would like to have a column over here inside my table. Okay, I would like to have a column inside my table. So with the name, some address. Okay, with the name, some address. So now here, whenever I'm going to be creating a column inside that object with the name, some address, it is providing one text box or not. So now whatever the name that I have given address, it will be providing one text area over here. It is providing one text area to enter the address. Now tell me in how many columns, how many rows we can enter the address information in multiple rows. Like as here in the first row, we can specify that flat number, and then apartment name, and then area name, and then landmark, and then city, and then state, and then country, and then pin code. Like that, we can enter the data in the multiple lines here. At that time here, we need a text area control. So for that reason here, we are using a data type called as text area data type. So text area data type will be providing one text area control, which is used to enter the data in the multiple lines over here. Okay. Now, so this control is used to enter the data in multiple lines. Then how many characters of content we can enter? We can able to enter the content up to maximum of 255 characters only. Like as a text box only. But the difference is text box will allow in only one line. Text area will allow in multiple lines. That is the difference, nothing else. Remaining power, everything will be the same. No change. Now, it allows maximum of 255 characters of content. Okay? 255 characters of content, not more than that. That is the limitation given by Salesforce over here. So in this case here, when coming to this text area, what properties are available? So whatever the first four properties that we have discussed, these first four properties are common for each and every data type. For every data type, these first four properties are common, no change. And the remaining properties are keep on changing over here. Now, in this case here, the first property is the field label. Second one is the field name. I'm not giving the description again here because already I have given over there. Third one is the description. Fourth one, the hypertext. These four properties are common for every data type. Whatever the 19 data types that we have, for every data type, these four properties are common. No change. Next, the fifth property we can specify the length property. So even though the text area will allow you to enter 255 characters of content, we can indicate that. Okay, how many number of characters to be get allowed, we can indicate by using this length property over here. You know what exactly the length property also. Next, the sixth property is number of lines to be visible. Number of lines visible. So what do you mean by this number of lines visible? Suppose for example, I'm having a text area over here. So this is my text area. Here I'm entering some characters. How many characters it will allow? Maximum of some 255 characters it will be allowing over here. For example, in one row I'm entering some 2 characters here. Okay, character 1, character 2. In the second row, third character, fourth character. Like that, in each and every row I'm entering that 2 characters here. Then how many lines will be available over here? In this case, it will be having almost some 127 lines will be available. Now, do you want me to display all the 127 lines of content at a time? No, I don't want to be visible because here it will occupy more space on my user interface. So what I want to do, I want to display only these first 5 lines over here. Then whatever the remaining lines of content, here it will be adding one scroll bar over here. By using this scroll bar, we can able to see the remaining content as well here. Okay, it will be adding one scroll bar, and then we can scroll down this scroll bar and we can see the remaining content. So in this case, how many lines of content you want to display at a time? For example, I want to display 5 lines of content at a time over here. Remaining content the user can see by using the scroll bar over here. So for that reason, it has provided a property called as number of lines to specify the number of lines of content to be visible at a time. So for that purpose, they have given one property over here. So these are the properties are available for the text area. Next, the text area long. So now sometimes here, so whatever the text area has been given by Salesforce, so now sometimes this length may not be sufficient because here I am having that maximum length of some 258 characters. But sometimes I want to enter some paragraphs of information. But I want to store some large content. At that time, these 255 characters may not be sufficient. I want to enter some more information. For that one, we can use text area long. Text area long control will allow you to enter maximum of 131,072 characters of content. This is also text area only, but it will allow some more number of characters. That's it. The properties, everything will be the same, no change. Now, it allows us to enter maximum of 1,31,072 characters of content in multiple lines. So now here in this case, what properties are available? Whatever the properties are available for the text area, the same properties are available here also, no change. Both are same, but just the text area long will be giving some additional space to enter that more number of characters over here. Next, the text area rich control. So what do you mean by text area rich control? This is also like as the text area long. Okay. Now in this case, what do you mean by text area rich basically? This is also a text area control. Okay, this is also a text area control, but it will be giving some formatting options also. Okay, formatting options also. Now, for example, so what do you mean by these formatting options? Now let me show you. For example, I'm preparing a Gmail. I'm preparing one email to send to one of my friend, okay, through Gmail. So I'm using this one. Suppose if you want to send an email notification, first of all we have to prepare that email, right? Okay, first of all we have to prepare this email. Now, so upon preparing that email here, once you click on this compose button, now it is going to providing a text box to enter the to address, and for the subject there is a text box, and here for the email content there is a text area is available. There is a text area. So in this control here we can able to type the information whatever you want. Whatever the content you want to share, we can specify that email content here. Once the content has been prepared, then we can do some formatting options. What formatting option? We can able to change the font. We can able to change the style. It may be bold, it may be italic. We can change the font size. We can do that. We can able to apply some, like as the bullets also we can able to apply, and we can insert some images. We can insert some pictures. Everything we can do that. Alignments also, left alignment, right alignment. We can able to do. So these options are called as formatting options over here. So in this case, not only providing the text area, it is allowing us to do some formattings also. So by using this formatting, we can able to apply your own font. We can change the font size. We can change the font style. We can able to add that bullets also. We can able to highlight something. We can insert some images. We can insert some pictures. And then we can make that font bold, italic. And then we can do the alignments. All these options are available as part of this text area rich control. So text area rich control will be providing the flexibility to enter 1,31,072 characters of content, and along with that it is giving the formatting options also by default. Okay. So this is the functionality of the text area rich control. It allows us to enter maximum of 1,31,072 characters of content, along with the formatting options. Along with the formatting options. Okay, along with the formatting options. And the properties are same like as your normal text area long properties. Text area long, text area rich, both will be having the same properties. Okay. Now, the next data type. Next data type is number. So what is the use of this number data type? Number data type will allow us to enter only the numerical values. Okay. Now it will accept the numerical values over here. Like for example, Assume that I would like to have a text box over here to enter the age value. I'm indicating that age. So it is providing one text box over here where we can enter my age. Because it may be 32 or 35 or 27, whatever, we can enter the age value here. So in this case here, how many digits it will allow over here? Because age should be always a numerical. How many digits here? When coming to the number data type is having the capability to allow up to a maximum of 18-digit number. Okay, it will allow up to a 18-digit number inside the text box over here. This purely number. So upon creating the record for the age, if I'm giving the value like as some ABC, it won't accept that. It will be giving the error message to you, so that please enter the correct information for age field. So because it is having the inbuilt validations automatically by default, okay, these are having inbuilt validations by default inside that. So now here in this case here, in order to store that numerical values up to the 18 digits, we are using that number data type. Now, sometimes you can raise a question. Sir, for example, I want to store some value called as some weight. Okay, I would like to store my weight also here. So now my weight will be in terms of some 70 kgs and then 500 grams. That means 70.500. That means there is a decimal value is also available. Can I enter this kind of values? Yes, there is a possibility. Number data type will allow us to enter not only the integer part. This is 70 is nothing but integer part. 500 means what? Decimal part. We can store both integer part values as well as decimal part values also inside the text box itself. Inside that field or inside that column, we can store the numerical values including integer part as well as decimal part values also. So in this case here, after this decimal digit, okay, how many after this decimal point, how many digits it will accept? We need to indicate that here. Okay, we can indicate that. Okay, we can indicate how many digits you want to allow. So at that time here, for example, I'm giving that number, okay, where I would like to specify that maximum number of digits to be allowed is some 10. From these 10 digits, how many digits you want to allow for that decimal points? For example, I'm giving that 3 digits for the decimal point over here. At that time, what will happen? 7 digits will be for the integer part, and then remaining 3 digits will be for the decimal part over here. So the total number of digits is 10. From out of 10, 3 will be allocating for the decimal point over here. Okay, this is for the decimal point. So now here in this case here, we have to specify that number data type which will allow you to enter the numerical value, which will be accepting the integer part as well as the decimal part values also. Now, this field allows us to enter the numerical values, including integer part and decimal part values. Decimal part values. So how many digits it will allow maximum over here? Now, it allows maximum of an 18-digit number. This 18 digits will be including decimal points only over here. Okay, including decimal points only here. So in this case, what properties are available here? The first 4 properties are common. The first 4 properties are common. And the next property is we can specify the length. Even though the number data type allows us to give the maximum of 18 digits, but I don't want those many. Suppose, for example, I want to store the age value. Age value, how many digits I would like to allow? Maximum 2 digits, up to 99. 2 digits means up to 99. That is sufficient nowadays. Now, so now here in this case, I want to allow only 2 digits. Like that we can specify the number of digits to be get allowed. To be allowed inside that field. And the next one, you will be having the number of decimal digits. So how many digits you want to allow for the decimal point over here? Okay, how many number of digits you get allowed for the decimal point over here? number of decimal digits to be allowed. We can specify that over here. Okay. So we can specify the number of decimal digits to be get allowed. Next, we are having the required checkbox. Suppose if you want to make this column as a mandatory column, then we have to use that required checkbox over here. Okay, required checkbox. So these are the properties are available as part of number data type. Next, checkbox. So checkbox will allow what over here? Now basically when coming to the checkbox here, checkbox will be having two states basically over here. Checkbox will be having two types of modes. Like first one is the checkbox over here, which should be in the selected state. Okay, which should be in the selected state. The checkbox is selected. In the second state is checkbox is unselected. Okay, the checkbox is not yet selected. So now this state is called as checked state. And this is called as unchecked state. Okay, unchecked state. So these are the two states are available for the checkbox over. It may be checked, it may be unchecked. If the checkbox is selected, that means this is called as checked state, which is going to returning the value as true. If the checkbox is unselected, it will be having the value as false. That means what? Checkbox is used to store the true or false values inside the column. True or false values means what? Boolean values. Okay, these are called as Boolean values. Boolean value means true or false values. These are called as Boolean. So checkbox data type will allow us to store the Boolean values which may be storing either true or false. Only one value, not multiple over here. Okay? No. So now here in this case, it allows us to store the Boolean values inside the field which accepts either true or false. If the checkbox is selected, that means checked. It will return true. If the checkbox is unchecked, it will return false. Now, next, come to the properties. The first four properties are common. And the fifth property is the default option. By default, checkbox status should be what? Selected or unselected. So the default is unselected automatically by default here. Okay. The default option is unselected over here. If you want, we can make it selected also. So these are the properties are there for the checkbox data type. Next, email data type. So what this email data type will do? Email data type will allow us to store only the email ID values. Okay, only the email ID values. Now this column allows us to store the email ID values inside the object. So now email ID is also one of the string value, right? Nothing but which is having some characters, alphanumerical values, special characters, everything will be there. So in this case, email data type will be having the inbuilt validation. Okay, inbuilt validation. Like for example, assume that I'm creating one column over here, which is of type some email ID. So now it is providing a text box also to me to enter the email ID value. So now, for example, I have entered that email ID value like this. Okay, I'm entering the email ID value like this, like as some Ramesh at the rate some Gmail. So now when I click on save button, it won't accept this record. Why? Because is when coming to the email ID, whatever the email ID he has entered is not in the correct format. Every email ID will be having a proper format, but the content is not in the email ID format over here. So in these kind of situations here, generally in the other programming languages, we have to write some additional code to do this validation. But in Salesforce, they're providing that inbuilt validation itself over here. No need to do the validations by our own. No need to verify whether this data is in the correct format or not. That will be taken care by the data type itself. So that here, email data type is going to be having the inbuilt validation to validate the email ID formats. Now, it contains the inbuilt validation for the email ID formats. For the email ID formats. Now, so what will be the properties over here? The first four properties are common. The next property is the required checkbox. In order to make this column mandatory, we are using this required checkbox. And the sixth property, unique checkbox. I would like to make that column value as unique. The same email ID should not be repeated again. Okay, the same email ID should not be repeated again inside that column. So for that one, I would like to make the column as unique. And the seventh one, external ID column. I want to make this column as external ID over here. So for that one, I would like to select the external ID checkbox. So these are the various properties are available as part of this email data type. Next, phone. So phone data type over here. So what is the use of phone data type? Phone data type is used to store the phone number columns, phone number values. That means whatever the 10-digit phone number, for example, I'm entering the contact number field here. There is a contact number field. I've entered some phone number. So after entering the 10-digit phone number, as soon as once you click on the save button of that record, then what it will do is the contact number whatever we have entered. The contact number whatever we have entered, it will be converting into the US phone number format automatically by default. Like as it will be converting like this here. So it is converting into the US phone number format automatically by default. Suppose I am entering the phone number in the 10-digit which is in this format, it will convert that phone number into this format automatically by default. For that one, when coming to the phone number, phone data type will allow us to store the phone number values by converting into that US phone number format by default over here. Okay. So for that reason, Salesforce has given a data type called as phone data type. Now, it allows us to store the phone number values by converting into US phone number format. Automatically by default. Next, the properties. The first four properties are common, and the next property is the required checkbox in order to make this field value as mandatory. And the sixth property is the unique checkbox to make that column value as unique. In order to make that column value as unique, we are using this unique checkbox. So these are the properties are available. Next one, the percent data type. So what is this percent data type? Now let's see. For example, here, assume that I went to a shopping mall because today they are offering very good discounts on their products. So I would like to save some money with that discount, so that I went to the shopping mall. So I am purchasing some products. So they are offering some 20% discount. Okay, they are offering some 20% discount. Then how can we store the value 20%? For that one, to store that percentage value, we are going to be using this percent data type. Now, in this case over here, okay, now in this case, for example, I would like to specify discount. They're offering some discount. So how much discount they are offering? 20. So now after entering the value 20, whenever they are going to be saving that record, okay, whenever they are saving the record, so now it will be displaying this value like as 20%. That means what? Whatever the number that you have entered, this number will be post fixing with percentage symbol by default over here. Because if I am giving it as 20, then what is this 20? Is it 20 paisa, 20 rupees, or what? So we don't know. For that one, to indicate this is not the 20 rupees, this is the 20%. So that here we are indicating that here. For that reason, Salesforce is going to be appending a percentage symbol along with that number whatever we have entered. So for that one, to store this percentage values, we are using this percent data type. So this is also allowing the numerical values. Sometimes, for example, here I'm paying some service tax. Service tax will be like some 14.5%, for example. In this case, this value has to be get visible like as 14.5%. That means what? This is also a number data type which allows that number values including integer and the decimal point values. But whatever the number we have entered, that number will be post fixing with percentage symbol over here. It will be appending that percentage symbol along with that number over here. Now, how many digits it will allow then? 18 digits again here. It allows us to enter an 18-digit number. 18-digit number inside the column. And the value will be post fixed with the percentage symbol automatically by default. So whatever the value we have entered, that value will be post fixing with percentage symbol by default over here. Next, the properties. The first four properties are common, and the next property is the required checkbox to make that column as mandatory. And the next property is length property to indicate how many number of digits to be get allowed here. To be allowed. And the seventh property is we have to specify the number of decimal digits. How many number of decimal digits to be get allowed inside this column over here. We can specify. Next, URL data type. So URL data type is for what? In order to store the website names. Suppose if you want to open a website like salesforce.com or gmail.com or facebook.com, at that time we are having some website here. In order to store those websites information, in order to store those application website names or the URL path, we are going to be using this URL data type. Now, so this data type allows us to store the website names or path of the web application inside the column. Inside the column. Then what is the speciality of this one here? Then you can raise a question. So for example, I'm specifying this. So I'm having a field called as website name. So here I have entered the website over here, like some www.salesforce.com. So now whenever I'm saving this record, it will display. It will be displaying like as a URL format here. HTTP www.salesforce.com. Okay, salesforce.com. It will display this content in the form of a URL format. So once you click on this URL, automatically the website will be getting open in the next browser tab over here. Okay. Now, it will display the specified website name in URL format. Sorry, in the hyperlink format. When the user click on the hyperlink, then it will open the website in the another tab, another tab in the browser. No. So when coming to the properties, the first four properties are common, and the fifth property is required checkbox. Okay, required checkbox. So these are the properties are available when coming to this URL data type over here. Okay. So these are few data types we have discussed. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining data types as well, and then we'll see how to create the fields inside an object over here. Field properties are very, very important. Okay, field properties are very, very important over here. Okay. So in tomorrow's session, we'll see the remaining data types and their properties, and then we'll see how to create the fields inside that object over here.
Who's doing the administration